Hello, hello, my friends. It is Andor, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic. This is not the video game. Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things about the galaxy far, far away. I am your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs. My voice is starting to go on me, but I didn't want a whole third news cycle about Kathleen Kennedy to hit before I could get this goddamn episode out. So I am here. Kason is here. Craig on Gin.
Good evening.
And the Italian stallion, the one-eyed knight, the Lord Keeper, the Super Bowl champion, Conor is here.
Yeah, I would like to say, first of all, go Birds.
Go Birds.
And, I'm happy to be here again. It's been a bit.
It's been a bit. It's been a bit since a proper KNR.
A lot has happened.
A lot has happened. You know, I said at the beginning of the year that this year would probably be like KNR is a little bit harder to do news roundups for, because like there has been a precipitous drop off for like how often we are getting like Star Wars news and how often that stuff is like are things I'm willing to cover, you know, that isn't just like a one-off like leak or a rumor that's floating around that like, you know, RPK has this covered insider or whatever is pushing that half the time is bullshit and half the time is a half truth. So, but we're getting into, you know, the lead up to movies again. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a news heavy year for KNR and more so than it's been in the past. And I was very excited for that. And then crazy fucking news happened. And I was like, holy shit, can't wait to talk about this. And then crazier news on top of that happened. So we're going to go through all of it. And we're going to talk about the Andor Season 2 glorified TV spot. And we're going to talk about Revenge of the Sith coming back to theaters. And I'm going to have a moment as a Star Wars fan where I try really hard not to be bitter about the fact that the two most overrated pieces of Star Wars media are going to have a great year. And that's on me to unpack and overcome and not be a jackass about. But before we get into that, a brief word from our sponsors at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy with their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. If you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, you can go on over and get their pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus as well, and some rim salt if you're nasty. This former bartender only trusts one Bloody Mary mix, and that is Sundays. Nothing beats a from-scratch Bloody Mary other than Sundays. Sundays is the only one that can do it. Sundays will be the only one that can do it, and it is this former bartender's only Bloody Mary mix of choice. So go to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop and use the code TNAP, TNAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. All right. So, holy shit.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, last week on February 26th, a scoop from Matt Baloney's Puck newsletter took the entertainment news world by storm. So I am first going to read from the Star Wars Newsnet article covering this. A late night shocker from Matt Maloney's Puck newsletter. Kathleen Kennedy to step down as Lucasfilm president by the end of the year after more than 10 years at the top of the company. According to the report, Kennedy had planned to step down by the end of 2024 when her contract was up, and had even set up interviews with a reporter, but reportedly decided to stay for one more year. 3 sources are telling Maloney that she has already publicly informed Disney, as well as friends and associates. Both Disney and Kennedy's personal publicist declined to comment to Maloney. We have reached out to Lucasfilm, but we'll probably not hear back given the hour. There's no information on succession as of yet. The official confirmation will probably wait, but other Hollywood trades might pick it up in the coming hours, and that they did. Other than that is other background on Kathleen Kennedy that if you're here, you already know. Kathleen Kennedy has a list of credits as long as our arms all put together, and was personally handpicked by George Lucas in 2012 to take over presiding over Lucasfilm at the time of his departure and subsequent sale of the company to Disney. So let's get into the flux capacitor. Let's crawl through the world between worlds. Let's travel back in time. This story breaks. How are we feeling at the time? Conor, I'll throw to you.
Ooh. That's a good question. I don't really think I had much of a reaction either way. I was just kind of like, okay, seems fair. She has been in this business for a while. I mean, I don't blame her for that. You know, maybe she just wants to just live out the rest of her days in some secluded island or something. But
pull a George, start eating a lot of Sbarro.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I really wasn't shocked, I guess. I just was really interested who her successor, I guess, was going to be. Like who she would handpick. I was curious about that more than anything. So
okay. Kason, you texted me the next day. Because I was still holding my breath before I was going to like really cast a gauntlet about this. Other than the next day, I was like, okay, let's schedule a time to record an episode about this.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to let this sit and see if or when the trades would pick this up. And as I like literally right before I was about to text the KNR group chat and be like, hey, how are we feeling, guys? You just texted me like in all caps, KK leaving ? Exclamation point. So what was going through
what does this mean for Star Wars?
Yeah. So what was going through your head like in the lead up to that?
First of all, you got it right. Big interrobang guy. Very big interrobang guy. I saw it, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's real, first of all. I was like, it's probably like somebody just leaking some stuff that's not actually a source. Like just some guy on the internet that hasn't liked the last 3 or 4 movies. Yeah, exactly. Like just some dude on the internet that hasn't liked the last couple movies being like, oh, I heard this, but like,
I heard it's
like,
well,
well, if there is some truth to it. Yeah, like, I was like, if there is some truth to it, then I'm interested. Like, same thing as Conor, like seeing like who's gonna step into that role, or like what the future is gonna look like for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I mean, and it's for me, you know, I had a weird I don't want to say existential crisis, but I had like a weird like, oh wow, like this is wild, you know, because like you said, like how
like
many
it's a random Tuesday.
Shocker. Star Wars drops news is on random Tuesdays.
And you know, like how many like bullshit news cycles have we lived through where there was a thumbnail uploaded to Doomcock or you know any number of other like you know grifter dipshits who I trust as far as I can throw, who said you know it's laser eyes Kathleen Kennedy fired, you know Kathleen Kennedy forced to resign in disgrace. Kathleen Kennedy, killed my dog, and now I want to sue her for it. That has constantly been like the drum that's been beat. I was like, oh wow, like this isn't, now I did come to find out this is somebody who has had some, who has not been a Kennedy fan for some time, who broke this story, but it became wild to see some of the trades pick up on it. Now, the trades were very lukewarm. The trades were saying, hey, there's a report saying this. Hey, this might be legit. And it's always interesting when the major trades weigh in, but like in kind of a non-committal way. And that's what kind of had me surprised. Where I was like
someone big picks it up and they're like, his words, not mine, but just so you know.
Yeah. And like that was also like a weird moment. And for me, the kind of like whoa of it all was, Kathleen Kennedy has had the most thankless job in Hollywood for the last 12 years. Like I'm not here to go to bat for like, corporate presidents and shit like that. Like she doesn't need me to like stand in front of the hail of slings and arrows in front of her. But the fact remains, this is one of the most legendary producers in the business. Again, like Jaws, E.T., Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Back to the Future. Like we would like if we were here listing all of her producer credits from before 2012, we would be here for a day, a full 24 hours at least. And she has been met with the same issues George had to face, on top of the misogyny of the woman showed up and ruined my thing. So between that and the fact that, and this is no disrespect to Kennedy, and I don't mean this to come across as like crass, she's not getting any younger, so like I understand, this job has been vicious, this job has been thankless, you brought this entire franchise back to life, and that is something that I'm never going to stop saying. Again, it's not to say that publication and video games are a lesser form of art than live action television, and in film. But at the time Kennedy took over, all we had was the Clone Wars, which was already in a weird tumultuous place because of the buyout and Cartoon Network and Netflix and everybody trying to see what they could do with it. And then books, comics, and video games. The franchise was not thriving the way it was before. And it was not in the pop cultural zeitgeist the way it was before. And it was on Kathleen Kennedy to go from, we have not had a lot, and the other thing going on, like I'm so glad the gentleman over at Bombadcast, did like an entire deep dive in the Star Wars underworld, because that whole television show, it was incredibly ambitious, and it was George being George trying to throw a insane Hail Mary and, be on the razor's edge and do insane things on a television budget.
Yeah, we'll go to the underworld this time around. We'll go to Coruscant again.
Yeah, but he was trying to do the whole Game of Thrones, like small film budgets per episode shit, and it didn't work out. So between that, so Kennedy steps into a weird place. Immediately is like, okay, animation is back. Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD. Hell yeah. and is starting to get the ball rolling on not only the sequel trilogy films, but also anthology films, also trying to bring stories, to fans and to moviegoers alike that are like a mix of old and new, trying to strike the, impossible balance of how much of Star Wars should be what we already think is Star Wars and how much of Star Wars should completely shatter that mold. And, doing stuff in between the sequels like Rogue One and Solo and what was supposed to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie until it wasn't, and until that kind of fell into a weird limbo. That was all happening on her watch. This franchise was resurrected under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. And whether or not you love or dislike or hate the lion's share of the modern era of Star Wars, I am inclined to say we have had a lot of really good shit.
I can agree with that.
You cannot deny the fact that the franchise exists in a place that it is now because of her. That Star Wars is back to being this cultural juggernaut because of her. And that she was able to make good on things George couldn't get done. A live action television series. A live action television series that, again, go check out the Bombad Cast episode on Star Wars Underworld. A live action series that that George couldn't get off the ground. But if you look at what we have gotten, especially in television and in film, but in television, the amount of things that they said, okay, George couldn't get it done in this TV show, let's implant it here. Shit like the Church of the Force. Shit like, a lot of the, again, like criminal underworld elements that ended up trickling into Mando and Book of Boba and Skeleton Crew, etc. A lot of this shit does not happen without Kathleen Kennedy. And I think the franchise is better for it. But, hucksters and grifters and frauds would rather you hate this woman because they don't understand what her fucking job is. So all of that's happening. It's all of the chaos, all of the, oh my God, for maybe a day and a half. And then funnily enough, the night, which I think is so funny, the night Kason and his lovely girlfriend decide to come over for a little movie night, Richard would very much like me to wrap up recording. He is pounding on the door like a maniac. The night Kason came over, literally as he was parking, Mike Fleming Jr. sat down for an exclusive interview with Kathleen Kennedy. And what everybody doesn't know is that there's actually tape of the interview that I would like to share with you guys now.
Just like I believe in each and every one of you here today.
I fucking love you, Jordan.
I fucking love
I
you.
fucking love you. I love you.
I fucking love you too. I fucking love you too. And I love all of you. I love all of you from the bottom of my heart. I mean that. Shame, because for years I've been telling you guys never to take no for an answer, right? To keep pushing, to never hang up the phone until you get what you want, because you all deserve it. This fucking deal that I'm about to sign, barring me from the securities industry, barring me from Stratton, my home. The fuck is that? I'll tell you what it is. It's me taking no for an answer. It's them selling me, not the other way around. It's me being a hypocrite is what it is. So You know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Mic drop.
I will say, I have not seen Wolf of Wall Street beginning to end in so long. I forgot that Henry Zabrowski from last podcast on the left is in that movie. When I saw his face, I went, "What the fuck?" And immediately started Googling it. So, Kathleen Kennedy sits down with Deadline, and I'm going to read directly from this article because I think it's very illuminating. So, like I said, this is Mike Fleming Jr.'s interview with Kennedy in Deadline. I thought I'd seen it all in trade journalism, but the piranha-like frenzy on Kathleen Kennedy and the successor speculation that followed Matt Maloney's Puck report that Disney was putting her out to pasture is a new one to me. Maloney for years had been beating on Kennedy like she owes him money, and this week he reported Kennedy was retiring. I recall he essentially did the same thing more than a year ago, and yet here she still is, producing The Mandalorian and Grogu, and prepping the Sean Levy-directed Star Wars film that Ryan Gosling is circling, as well as the numerous other films and streaming projects with A-list participants. Still, the trades followed with gusto, dishing out speculative reporting on who might succeed Kennedy. The takeaway was chaos, and that Kennedy was being pushed. The reality is different and far more orderly. According to insiders, Kennedy has been working on a succession plan for a couple of years, eyeing candidates from within process with Bob Iger and Alan Bergman. He said that puts someone like Dave Filoni, who knows the universe inside and out, in a strong position. We'll get to that. Dave Filoni has no business running this company, and that's no disrespect to Dave. That's just not what he should be doing there. I admire Baloney's hustle and ability to turn over hard ground, but his penchant for defining industry people like Kennedy in disparaging ways, well, I just don't understand that. I don't appreciate it when Deadline founder Nikki Finke did it here, and it feels like the appetite for Schadenfreude is nowhere near as high right now, given the business is trying to regain footing after a global pandemic, a year-long labor strike, and the devastating wildfires that ravaged Southern California. Kennedy would seem an unlikely target for ire in good times or bad. 13 years into her run steering Lucasfilm, she has done much with the challenge of trying to broaden George Lucas's Star Wars vision after Disney bought it from him for $4 billion in cash and stock in 2012. It's a challenge Amazon will now attempt with the James Bond franchise after purchasing creative control from 007 creators for $1 billion beyond the $8 billion they paid for MGM. So, and then background on Kennedy that we all know. So to the interview. We've all read these speculative reports that you are out, that there's a frenzy for the next person who's going to take over Lucasfilm. What is the truth? To which Kennedy says, the truth is, and I just want to say loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I am not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm is I've been in talks for quite some time with both Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. We have an amazing bench of people here, and we have every intention of making an announcement months or years or a year down the road. We are in lockstep to what's going for what that's going to be, and I am continuing. I'm producing The Mandalorian and Grogu right now, and I'm also producing Sean Levy's movie, which is after that. So there's a little bit of sizzle there, Kennedy knowing, dole out a little bit of news here. So Sean Levy's movie is real, is happening, and will be up to bat next after The Mandalorian and Grogu. So I'm continuing to stay at Lucasfilm very thoughtfully, and Bob and Alan as to who's stepping in. So that is all underway, and we have every right to make that announcement when we want to make it. Deadline says that you are looking within seems to give credence to what we've heard, that an executive chief creative officer, Dave Filoni, is in a good position as he works on a Star Wars to write and direct. Kennedy says, I can't say who it is because there's just an internal process that goes on inside of a large corporation and publicly held company. As to how we go about making deals, finalizing decisions, and making announcements, there's nothing unusual about that. We're in that process. This flurry of press coverage sounds like chaos. What's the reality? Chaos. There has never been any chaos because we know exactly what the plan is. And we've been talking about it, as I said, nonstop for the last couple of years because, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be here forever. George asked me 13 years ago to step in, and now I'm looking at who's going to replace me. And as I said, we have a bench of people internally to handle the business, the creative side. The job has grown also since I stepped in. There was no streaming. There weren't a lot of things that we're involved in right now going on. So it has grown. How far down the road do you expect before a change gets made and then you go off and produce these two big Star Wars things? We'll probably make an announcement months or a year out, and I have every intention of sticking around to help that person be successful. I'm already producing the Mandalorian movie and Sean Levy's after that. I recall these same retirement predictions were rendered a while ago, and you re-upped, and here you are. What do you make of the fixation on your job status? Which I am so glad somebody asked that question. I truly don't know. And any discussion previously about me retiring or quitting or any of those things, that's complete rumor mill because through all these reports, I have just continued doing my job and continuing my contract. Nothing unusual. It has just all been manufactured. The connotation is you're being pushed aside in need of being replaced, though that's not what I've heard. Kennedy is absolutely not the case. It could not be further from the truth. And everything we do inside of Lucasfilm is in lockstep in communication with Disney. We all know what's going on. The communication has been completely collaborative, as you would expect. This is a big piece of business for them, and they want to empower me to help them make that decision and that choice, and I'm doing that. The next question is basically going, everybody likes Kevin Feige, but they don't like you, and that's weird. I'm placing some blame on Marvel's Kevin Feige because he had that magnificent streak of superhero hits to set an impossibly high bar. But now he's starting to take shrapnel. How daunting is it to run a company based on beloved and iconic IP? What has been the most challenging thing about running Lucasfilm when fans of the original trilogy measure everything against it and don't see the business need of broadening the franchise when Disney paid so much for it? It's what Amazon and MGM will go through as they expand on Bond. It is something I think about all the time. It's fascinating to think about how you sustain a brand, especially Star Wars, which is about to celebrate its 50th anniversary. So to analyze and understand what was inspiring George when he created Star Wars, when he was still looking at Saturday matinees and Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, and those are the things of the past and politically what he was reflecting in with these stories. Because Star Wars has always had a kind of world building and it reflects a certain amount of our society. The world, needless to say, is changing by the second. Consequently, the audience has changed dramatically. How they consume things. We're seeing this reflected in the health of the movie business and what it really means for streaming and what we're trying to do with all these platforms may be on the horizon. You're trying to look forward, and at the same time, you're trying to create stories that feel familiar. You're looking into the future, but you're maintaining a sense of familiarity, and I think that's the hardest balance. Then you have a brand that's this expansive. You're also, and this is something we worked very hard at, you try to find different entry points for different generations because that's what Star Wars has always been. It's a very generational brand, and we want to sustain that, and we work hard to sustain that. So George gave us the gift of storytelling being told across different genres, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to try things. What we've really enjoyed about the streaming space is we've been able to experiment. It's hard to do that in the movie space. And now I think that's why it feels so good to be able to move into a Mandalorian movie as we're coming off of 3 seasons of a very successful show. We've actually built an audience for that, and we gave the young audience an opportunity to enter Star Wars at a different place and not feel like you had to have seen everything. It can become their Star Wars, and that, I think, is the fun storytelling challenge. You've got a long resume of movies compared to that. How much tougher is the challenge of being under such public scrutiny and second guessing by the fan base? I'm sorry, rabid fan base. It's not uncommon to develop a project with big names who fall out when visions don't align. They don't get reported as a big implosion. What you just said, though, is so interesting to me, Mike, because that is the development. It doesn't matter if you're doing Star Wars or anything else. What's troubling and frustrating is that our development gets scrutinized, and I don't know any other production company where their development gets scrutinized like that. It's very hard for anything to happen within Star Wars without some aspect of it becoming public. You even want it to be before you even want it to become public. So I guess managing the message in some way is also quite a challenge. Because of course, not everything we put in development we can make. It's not unusual. We want to make those things that we feel are the best. We want to make those things that, as time passes, feel relevant to what the audience is responding to. There's no constant discussion around that. Or there's a constant discussion around that. So yeah, that's a tricky one because a lot of scrutiny around Star Wars and the negativity has been about development. Of course, we're going to develop lots of things with an understanding that not everything is going to be made. And then here's some more news sizzle. I broke a piece last year about Simon Kinberg making a deal to write and produce a Star Wars trilogy. Going? We're absolutely rolling fast and furiously. That has gone exceptionally well, and he's literally going to script as we speak. We'll see something probably around June. Simon, if you remember, he did some work with us years ago with the animated show, which was a really wonderful collaborative experience. And then he got very, very, very busy with X-Men and then recently became available again. And he segued into this space beautifully. We're really excited about where he's headed. There are spin-offs, and then there is the core Star Wars story broken into trilogies. Is this a continuation of that? This is the next iteration, the new saga that moves us into the future. We'll see what that's about. And then he asks, and the one by Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy, Kennedy said, that's also in the future. It's all post the first 9. Sean's is a standalone Star Wars movie that'll put place post 9 years, maybe 5 or 6 out. Or post 9, 5 or 6 years out from Rise of Skywalker. And Mandalorian really stands on its own there. We're dealing with a whole other era in the New Republic. We have other development going on in that space as well. So that's the space that we're pretty much focused on right at the moment, because obviously with Mandalorian, we have a pretty good sense of what's going on there. And with this, it's all pretty much new characters. We may bring some characters back from the sequel saga, but pretty much new characters. How many development type projects do you have percolating that you feel will turn into something down the line? To which Kennedy says, to play it safe, I'd say 3 or 4 at the moment. And a large part of it, Mike, is who the talent the talent we're attaching. And that's a challenge in and of itself these days because people get really busy. You find yourself having to wait with a lot of top talent doing streaming and movies now. They're juggling schedules. And when you do Star Wars, you pretty much have to step into it and not have any other competing work going on. It's a good 2 or 3 years minimum commitment, and that's tough to get top talent to be able to carve out that kind of time. So that's part of the challenge as well. You've still got the prequel film with James Mangold, who's nominated for the Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown. Yep, he's working on the script right now. Simon's working on scripts right now. Sean, we had working with him already for about 1.5 years. These guys are available now. Jim, he got delayed a little bit because of the Dylan movie and award season. You have to accommodate top talent to a certain extent. And quality is so important with what we're trying to do. I like to wait for people that I think are passionate and are really good going to step well into Star Wars. To which Deadline says, any others I've forgotten. To which Kathleen Kennedy says, well, I keep waiting for Taika Waititi, and he is working with another writer now. He's so busy. I love him, and I think if we ever do a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic. I already saw a first act that I loved, but tying him down, it's tricky. So like we're all so like Kathy is addressing fucking everything. Even shit like the Taika Waititi movie that feels like it's just so in the universe and percolating in like the fucking like primordial ooze. I still remember seeing Thor Ragnarok entering with low expectations, watching his exuberant vision and thinking this is what you want when you go to a movie theater on a Saturday night. Kennedy said, "It's so true, and that's the tone we're looking for with filmmakers who can pull that off. It's not like they're a dime a dozen. You really got to find the diamond in the rough, and he's one of them." So even when you hand the reins to a Lucasfilm protege, it sounds like you're going to be in that world for eight or 10 years. Fair? Kennedy, I don't know if I'm going to say that, but yeah, it's possible. Deadline says, might you also go back to working with your husband, Frank Marshall, who's doing a documentary on Barbra Streisand and another on Fleetwood Mac? Kennedy says, he is truly something. I cannot keep pace most of the time with what he's doing. And he just opened a play on Broadway and he's finishing Jurassic World Rebirth. It makes me feel like I'm standing still, which is cute. Do you look forward to a point where the two of you can focus on collaborating on these projects that you've always cooked up together, whether it was at Amblin or somewhere else? Kennedy says, oh, sure. If something came along that the two of us, we loved coming back together and being able to work with Mangold on the indie movie, that was a real treat. And to be working with Steven, as they say, getting the band back together, that was really fun. And then any regrets? No, I mean, far from regrets. I've loved the challenge of stepping into the space and literally space and being with Star Wars over the years. Taking on the challenge of expanding on Star Wars, I've loved working with Disney, and the company has been fantastic in its support of the IP. They've expanded things in ways I don't think George ever could have imagined, and it's been such a learning experience. I've never been an executive before. I'm a filmmaker through and through. I even approached the executive role as a filmmaker. I love working with filmmakers. That is my lifeblood. It's what I enjoy more than anything. And being able to do that inside of Star Wars has been really fun because we have the people who step into the Star Wars who are diehard fans, and we have people who step into Star Wars who have never really knew the IP that well. You look at somebody like Tony Gilroy. He has done transformative, exceptional work. I don't mean it. I've been working with Tony for more than a decade. I don't think Tony would have imagined that he would have done that. The creative experience on Andor has been fantastic, and the second season is coming out next month. That's where the satisfaction comes from for me, and I just hope that continues. Will you arm twist Tony into doing one of these Star Wars movies after he was the uncredited backstop on Rogue One? I don't know if he can. I don't think he ever believed he'd be a decade inside Star Wars. He's writing some things on his own. I think he'd like to get back into the director's chair. So we'll see what he does. But he's such a talent, just fantastic. He also provided the creative spine for Bourne Identity. That's how we all met. 2 final questions. Will you step out as Lucasfilm boss this year? Kennedy. We really don't know at this stage. There's so much going on. I don't know. When it happens, who will make the decision? To which Kathleen Kennedy responds, me. It's my decision. This is 100% my decision. So, Kathleen Kennedy clears the air, gives us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain to let us know what's going on with some of these projects. You know, we got the Rey stuff percolating. We got Mando and Grogu coming down the pipeline. The thing that I thought was the most compelling about this interview is that it seemingly seems like even after Kathleen Kennedy steps out of the executive spot, she is still going to be a part of Star Wars no matter what. And I hate being this kind of like resistance lib Star Wars fan. But to the Phantom Menace, die mad, motherfucker. But Connor, thoughts on the interview, thoughts on what Kathleen Kennedy has to say here?
Yeah, I could definitely say I did not expect when first reading it for her to just be like, oh yeah, here are some small updates about like all the movies that we've announced. It's like, oh, Okay, cool. So in addition to us finding out that you're not going to retire, we also get updates. Very much appreciated. Yeah. Do your thing, Kathy. I don't know.
No, I mean, like what I find so compelling about, Kathleen Kennedy stepping into this interview, like all eyes are on her. And again, I said this on Blue Sky. There was a little bit more credence this time around to the Kathleen Kennedy leaving laser eyes of it all that normally isn't there because the major trades actually deigned to talk about it and speculate on it and weigh in. And it was like, oh shit, like I said before, I don't know what post Lucas Star Wars looks like. Like I couldn't imagine post Lucas Star Wars when it started, and now I can't imagine what post Kennedy Star Wars looks like. So he's seeing like, oh, an exclusive interview with Deadline. Let's fucking go. I was so amped. And then to sit down and read it, and it's like you said, Connor, it's not only is Kathy going, okay, well, while you're all fucking listening, here's what's going on here. Here's what's going on here. Here's what's going on here. I have not stepped off the gas for even a fucking second. And shame on you for thinking I would. And then elaborating, like, I don't know when I'm leaving. She's made it clear that we are in the waning days, months, years of the Kennedy era. And I think she is a class act, especially in the way that she is acknowledged. Like, it is coming to an end here soon. When? Who's to say? I get to dictate how and when that happens. And I absolutely love that. Kason, how are you feeling?
It reminds me of it's a meme that was like, I think like late last year, the like turn. Oh, you should know this too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with Pedro.
Yes.
I think it was on Hot Ones.
Yeah. And she starts like talking to like the interviewer. She's like, "Oh yeah, let me answer your question." She's like, "Oh, by the way, gather round, gang. Let me just drop some knowledge on you real quick." Like you said, haven't stepped off the gas. We're still going. We have stuff in the pipeline currently, actively in the works. So like, why would she just be like, all of a sudden, just peace out? It doesn't make any sense, really.
Yeah. And again, and I'm glad, like, it's something that I've been frustrated with. Obviously, like the fandom menace of it all, and with me, like, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail.
Right.
And this is like tangentially related to that, where like those shitheads made it a very lucrative career to just talk shit about Star Wars. And
Yeah.
I think they permanently changed the tenor of the conversation online, even among people who aren't like out and out pieces of shit about it. They have still like made it kind of the fun thing to like, hey, you walk by Star Wars, like give it a wedgie, give it a noogie, shove it in a locker, like that is how I feel like a lot of coverage around Star Wars has been as of late, outside of Andor. Yay. But I like to finally have somebody at Lucasfilm, and not just anybody at Lucasfilm, Kathleen goddamn Kennedy, be like, nobody else catches these many strays over their development process than we do. Because we have decided that the narrative has to be that the wheels are falling off. And in doing so, we have just become this like just target of, oh, we announced something. And I will say, again, I'm not all like, gumdrops and, roses and shit with this era of Star Wars. I think they have been far too trigger happy announcing projects way too early in advance. I think that is absolutely a criticism you can make. I think a lot of that criticism falls on Bob Chapek and not Kathleen Kennedy. That on that Disney Investor Day, where half of the projects announced we've either seen or know are in development, and half of them have had next to zero movement. And then you have other weird ones like Taika Waititi's project and Lando that exist in this weird purgatory, but like they had just begun to bandy about the idea of Rangers of the New Republic. And then Bob Chapek went, make a logo and announce it tonight. And they went, fuck, okay. Like, our star is about to get fired, but sure.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, fuck it, sure. Like we're about to not renew this chick's contract, but sure, let's announce it, I guess. Shit like that happening, left, right, and center. And I understand that criticism. I think that was a Disney thing and not a Lucasfilm thing, by magnitudes. But she is right. Like every time they have a very natural moment of, hey, we talked about it. We did development. We did concept art. We talked about story ideas. We did this. We did that. But you know what? In the same way as it happens every single day in Hollywood, cool idea. I don't think we're going to be able to make this work. Cool idea. I think we're going to have to pass on this. Cool idea. There are other projects that we are more excited and confident in. Maybe we'll circle back to this. And that is a normal thing that happens in Hollywood. I wish everybody who walked into Lucasfilm, who had a damn good idea for a Star Wars story to tell, got greenlit and made there and then. That is not how this industry fucking works, especially right now, especially with everything going on in the industry. Movie theaters are dying a slow and terrible fucking death. Streaming has become too big to fail while also having a bubble burst, and it's just being stretched so thin that there is nothing to be done about it. Like the industry is in a very weird place, and the bets you make are going to have to be really particular. I wish everything got made. It can't. And having Kathleen Kennedy, again, just say, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm glad that the writer at Deadline was like, yeah, Kevin Feige's starting to get this shit too. I feel more validated in what I've said for years now, that it took the MCU fans about a year to do what Star Wars fans took 10 years to do, which is create this insane revisionist history about how everything was planned and everything was perfect, and then it got bad. The Marvel fans did it in 2020 when there was nothing coming out, and we got, nothing during the main pandemic year. MCU comes back on Disney Plus, and then we're at the phase of the MCU is back. It's dead. It's back. It's dead. It's back. It's dead. It's back. It's dead. And this isn't getting made, and that's not getting made, and we're never going to see this, and we're never going to see that. Like, it's finally catching up with Marvel too. And it is the curse of the IP fanboy. And I'm glad to hear Kennedy acknowledge that. I'm glad to hear Kennedy say, yes, my time is coming, but it's going to be on my own terms. And yeah, like I said, I was shocked that there were 2 whole news cycles about Kathleen Kennedy before we even got to sit down. And like I said, Kason got to my house so that we could all sit down and watch one of them days as this article broke. And he was
Banger,
like changing.
by the way.
Banger. By the way. Fucking so
great
funny.
Movie.
And Kason was changing in our room into comfy clothes as I burst through the door, like, Kennedy sat down with Deadline. Like like a crazy person. I basically read the article at him while he was changing into sweatpants.
I'm the Willem Dafoe looking up, me standing there in my underwear.
But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy isn't going anywhere. She'll be no longer the executive here soon, but her name is going to be attached to Star Wars until the day she becomes one with the Force. And on some, again, pithy resistance lib kind of way, that makes my heart happy.
The number of dudes on the internet that went full Lollipop Guild as soon as that news broke, full Lollipop Guild. Ding.
Sensational. That's his word.
Yeah, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. They thought Kathleen Kennedy was under the house. She lifted the house back up.
Kathleen Kennedy deadlifted the house off of her.
Just bench pressed the house right back up and said, "You thought."
Well, I thought it was funny because, I hate myself and will occasionally check in on people whose opinions on art and media are absolutely noxious to me. I'm pretty sure Star Wars Theory has at least 3 videos about her leaving. And it's so funny to watch them age like milk in July, like out in the sun. Like he did like a live stream simply titled "She Gone," and that showed up in my YouTube feed today. And I out loud looking at it went, "No, she ain't!" Like he can hear me. Like he can hear me. Like I get to dunk on him through the phone. But yeah, like I said, I'm not worried. I don't need to defend Kathleen Kennedy as a businesswoman, as an executive. But as Hollywood and as all major industries are currently bending the knee to the current administration and rolling over and showing their bellies, knowing that again, in my opinion, one of, if not the biggest IPs in the history of film is going to be riding high and riding in perpetuity with one of the most successful women to ever work in the industry at its helm makes me happy. It makes me very happy to see that there is not going to be an acquiescence at all to any of this anti-DEI, anti-woke horse shit. Even if that wasn't the case, even if it was Kathy going, I'm ready to ride off into the sunset. Even if it was Kathy doing that, like, there was a part of me that would fear that they would go, okay, let's put a guy in there right now so they'll leave us the fuck alone.
They thought they killed DEI in Star Wars, and meanwhile, there's definitely going to be some kind of like a transvestite Twi'lek in one of the upcoming things.
Depending on who you ask, there already was. Because when Star Wars fans did the first and only positive transvestigation, I think it's the little bumps on the side of the Twi'lek heads are typically only found on female Twi'leks. And in Book of Boba Fett, there is a masculine presenting Twi'lek who has head bumps.
Interesting.
And I very much am in the camp of that is a trans Twi'lek. Fuck you all. I am never going to let that go. But
that's fine. We'll take it.
But yeah, no, I'm very excited for the future here and happy to hear Kathleen Kennedy put her finger on the scale and weigh in on it. We got 2 more stories. Both of them are going to be much briefer to cover. First one, again, this is going to be the beginning of me trying to put up with the year of the glaze in 2025. So let's get the first one out of the way. Andor season 2 trailer that was really a TV spot that I have a lot of mixed opinions on, that I might crash out a little bit over. Conor, I throw to you first, as you will have the most measured and normal person response of the bunch here.
So, okay, first of all, the song, sick. Absolutely sick choice. I get all the people saying like, oh, it doesn't fit. Fuck you. Go Birds. It was sick. I guess because like
Go Birds, it's a default is great. I love you.
I mean, hey, they won the Super Bowl, man. So I mean, but I guess because, you know, Star Wars is such a, what's the word? Not accurate, but like pivotal, for lack of a better word that I cannot think of at this moment. Important mirror to the real world, especially like in the past 10 years or so when it got revitalized. The Andor season 2 trailer using "The Revolution Starts Now" by the artist's name who escapes me at this very moment. With what we know Andor is gonna lead up to with Rogue One, I think it's just pretty powerful and pretty awesome because like it's this very cool rock song that to me at least completely changes the tone of the show, where it's like if you listen to this with like the regular Andor theme, the tone of the trailer completely flips. and it's more like dark and sinister, and I guess. But like again, I just think the song fits because of like what we're probably gonna see in Andor, because we see Saw Gerrera, a very controversial revolutionary, I'll say, among not only in
To say
universe.
the least. Also, the artist is Steve Earle.
Thank you, Steve Earle. You're the guy. Saw Gerrera, a controversial revolutionary figure, not only in Star Wars, but out of Star Wars. So we're gonna get.
I'm a Saw defender. I'll put it out there.
I understand him. You know, I'm kind of like, all right, cool. You know, do your thing, man. Just don't get me in the crossfire, please.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's what he
Yeah.
does. He catches
I
you in the
know.
crossfire.
Yeah,
That's
please
why I
don't
hate him.
Saw. It's not gonna
Like,
work out.
talked
But
about
yeah,
it.
no, he's you know, we're gonna get to see him probably become more and more like the Saw he is by the time of Rogue One, which is very, very paranoid.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to see Ben Mendelsohn again, which you know I'm pretty excited for.
Dude, I almost did a backflip. I just hearing Krennic go, I was like, I just went full soups. I went like it's the only part of the trailer that like distracted me from how much the rest of the trailer annoyed the shit out of me. I was like, yeah.
So, because like I'm very interested to see, which we will probably get something, even if it's small, like a conversation between Mon Mothma and director Krennic.
Which is so fun.
Yeah, no, that trailer was awesome. I'm really intrigued by like the dancing scene with Mon Mothma and like everyone around her. Like, I'm very interested to see what the context of that is.
As
So,
well.
I'm interested.
As well.
I'm interested in the long grassy area.
That too.
Yeah, you had some theories about where that might be, Kason, if you want to share
Looks
that.
like Lothal. I hope
I've
it's
seen
Lothal.
I've seen Lothal floated around a lot. It feels too obvious to me.
I mean, I guess that's fair, but like,
maybe
who knows they're gonna go during that time frame? There was a lot of stuff that happened there.
that is true.
Also, more Loth cats, dude.
Fair
I'll take
enough.
it. I'll always
Valid
take the
point.
left hats.
You got me there.
Drop.
I will say, and longtime listeners of this show know, I think Andor is incredible.
Better than?
Yeah. I think Andor is incredible. I think it is a very well written portrayal of how difficult it is to take a stand and engage in revolutionary action, and accepting that in the early days of any revolution or rebellion, no matter how justified it is really hard to be insurgent. And there is no way to truly keep your mind, body, and soul clean in those instances, and how you hold on to your humanity and remember what you're doing this for, while also acknowledging that the biggest issue, that the biggest hurdle that one must overcome in a revolutionary setting is not just the tyrannical actions of an authoritarian government. It is the sense of despair and malaise and acceptance that its people will inevitably accept, and trying to galvanize those that feel as though they either have to fight within the system, or those who feel there is no point in fighting at all. That is the biggest hurdle. You know, how do you maintain your soul and your spirit, and how do you make other people believe that it's worth doing and even possible? And that is where Andor soars. I think conversations about how much Andor feels like Star Wars are compelling, because while it gets the politics of Star Wars very well, by virtue of the story that's being told, it lacks that, character, that quintessential whimsy. It doesn't have, here's a fun alien here, there, like half of the characters have fucking fish heads and shit.
It's not nice by movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have said numerous times, there's a very special episode of Pro and Noob coming out on the Mitch 692 channel very soon, where I talk about this idea as well. It is, I've always said that if Star Wars as a franchise, as an overarching story, what is the core theme? And the core theme is hope. The core theme is, no matter how bad things get, on an interpersonal level, on a societal level, on as grand a scale as you can get, no matter how bad things look, there is always hope for it to be better. And so long as there is hope for it to be better, you can make it better. Andor brilliantly maintains that theme by painting in the negative space of that hope. And what I love about this trailer, what I love about its presentation is, it's showing like, hey, Andor season 1 was about how hard is it to get a hold of that hope? Very was the answer. Andor season 2 is going to be, we are now going to ride the lightning of this hope. And again, try to maintain our humanity, try our best to keep our souls clean, but we are hopeful that something can be done. And I think it is telling that so much of this trailer is action, not just action in the pew pew sense, but action in terms of like, this trailer is littered with people doing things. It is littered with people fighting the Empire, however they can, be it in a firefight or a heist or going undercover or blowing shit up. People are fighting the Empire. There are stormtroopers getting shot at. And I think that's really compelling. What frustrates me on a cultural fandom level is that the conversation around Andor, I think, is really fucking stupid and does not become how great this show is. I am on record, as well as a number of other of our friends and collaborators, that while I think Andor is incredible, I think the amount of people who hold it up as the only serious Star Wars to come out since Empire Strikes Back are themselves deeply unserious, lack critical reading and thinking skills, and require Star Wars to have hookers, terrorism, and somebody looking down the barrel of the camera to say fascism bad to think Star Wars is political. And that frustrates the dog shit out of me. If you look at Andor and say this is the only real political serious Star Wars show, but you look at The Mandalorian and you have the audacity to call that the Baby Yoda show, when that whole story is about a diaspora people whose culture gets shattered just about every few years because the latest person to take power has found a new way to either take advantage of or want to eliminate Mandalorian society at large. And this is the story of one man trying to bridge the gap between tradition and progress while also completely reevaluating his world and his faith by taking somebody of a rival culture in the Jedi, in Grogu, as his adoptive son and trying to bridge the gap further between these two disparate cultures. Like that show is about it is about change. It is about it is about how one overcomes like generational trauma. Book of Boba Fett is a story about a man who spent his entire life as a gun for hire with no real ideology to say for anything, trying to be a better man and trying to stop like the cyclical like gang violence that plagues the little people on Tatooine. Ahsoka is the story about a child soldier who grew up and is now trying to shake off the bonds of knowing that the man who made you everything you are turned out to be the greatest danger the galaxy ever faced? And how do you grapple with like the will to live when you think that your very existence is emblematic of the rot that created the guy who helped make you? These shows go to really heavy fucking places, but if you only look at them as you're just playing with your action figures and you're not fucking willing to engage with the art, then get the fuck out of the conversation. And that has been my sticking point with Andor for so long. And that is why this show has, in many ways, unfairly drawn my ire, because people want to put it on a pedestal that, while it deserves the pedestal, it's on for the quality of writing, the quality of filmmaking, how brave a lot of the decisions it makes are in terms of tone and in terms of presentation. It is not the only Star Wars show that is serious and has adult themes in it. It just has hookers and they cuss. And you all sound like fucking Zack Snyder fans the way you talk about this goddamn show. And I, over the last few months, have been like, I'm really excited for Andor Season 2. To quote the great Ken Knapsack, it is one of the funniest, like, cosmic timings of a show to come out, that as we are entering, as we are already well into the second Trump administration, we are getting a show that is about rebellion in the face of impossible odds as the bureaucracy continues to fail. And I was like, I'm really excited for Andor. I'm really excited to show my girlfriend Andor. I am so excited to get back to this show and experience this journey and see Cassian and Luthen and Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera and Director fucking Krennic. You know, I'm sorry, I'm here for Krennic at this point. But you know, I'm so excited for all of this. And then we get the message in the group chat, Conor and I are in, Andor trailer's out. Cool. And I click on it. And most of this trailer is just the fucking show jerking itself off. And it's like, and the most egregious one, because these quotes sent me into a fucking bloodlust. I like it. It is so navel gazing, and frankly, it feels desperate. It feels fucking thirsty.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. It feels desperate. It just feels off. But yeah, desperate, I think, is the best word to describe it.
I just love when Jarod goes on tangents.
And I'm glad somebody does, because I hate sounding like this. And but like it's not like weird for a show to like have a trailer for their upcoming season after the first one was such a critical success to have like a couple like review blurbs here and there. That's fine. It feels like almost this entire trailer hinges on, hey, I know that you're seeing all this sci-fi like little kid bullshit here, but like, look, Rolling Stone said we were sophisticated and adult, and look how intelligent our show was. Like, and again, it feels like the show decided to buy into the like into the shitty discourse, and that frustrates me. It really frustrates me, because I truly think that without any of the fucking pomp and bullshit that makes what is a teaser trailer for the next Star Wars show feel like a fucking overlong TV spot. Save all of your like critics' praise for TV spots for the people who are gonna, like I said to Conor before we started, who are gonna be watching baseball and surf and channel surfing, and then they just get this ad and it's like, oh wow, like this is Star Wars, and I see blasters, I see stormtroopers, and it's like, oh wow, like this show got a lot of praise, maybe I should give it a shot. I understand and I appreciate that Andor did not get the viewership it wanted. Now, of course, it got a second season, but whatever. I said this in private. I'll say it on here. I'll say it live on air. I would trade Andor for both seasons of Andor for one more season of The Acolyte in a fucking heartbeat, and I'll never apologize for that. Shit. Go gadget multi-screen. There we go. Anyway, but like you said, the quotes.
I traded for a World Series.
On brand.
I trade them both. Actually, no. I would also
Bryce
trade.
Harper.
Yep. I have to. No, but I would probably also like trade. This is harder because, like, again, this wasn't quote unquote made, but like it was, but not like the way some of us would have liked. I would have, if I had the choice of 2 seasons of Andor or animated Rebels sequel, love you, Cassian. Bye-bye. So
This guy speaks my language.
I mean, hey, I get it. But yeah,
great show. Terrible discourse.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I really wish the discourse didn't bug me as much as it does. Cause like I really do think this show is incredible, but like the, like even the part that isn't even a blurb from critics. The fact that in the first 20 seconds of a minute and 35-second trailer is the first season of Andor was hailed by critics everywhere. Like, cool.
The show is so weird, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was The Atlantic, not Rolling Stone, that called it confident and sophisticated. Okay. Like, guess what? The movie with Jar Jar fucking Binks predicted what's happening right now in the second Trump administration. The taxation of trade routes is happening right fucking now. Elon Musk is new fucking gun ray. Like, what the fuck? This fairy tale bullshit doesn't need to be confident and sophisticated for it to be important. Jar Jar steps in poop, but also it's about what happens if Amazon gets a seat in the fucking Congress. God damn it. Like, I'm sorry. I want to be excited for this show, but at every turn, the fucking diehards, the Andor meat riders, and now even the marketing for this fucking show just refuse to let me love it. Like, every fucking time I bring this show flowers and chocolate and it kicks me in the balls and tells me I'm a fucking idiot and I can't stand this shit anymore, man. Fuck.
Thank you to our special guest, Jarod Lee Mulligan.
Like, god damn it. Also, I love the song. The song on me.
That was a top 2 tangent. That was great. Holy shit.
Anyway.
That's getting clipped 100%.
I'm glad.
So.
I will say it's probably much funnier because my voice is going on me as I continue to get angrier.
Sometimes with your inflection on stuff, you're like saying things kind of like Trumpish. Almost. It's like just one word though at a time. And then
I don't know if I mean, again, maybe because I haven't been around Jarod as long as you have, Kason, but like I just don't hear it. I just, just hear his voice just fucking just meow.
Oh, goddamn. But I will say what we see in this trailer, I think, is very exciting. I'm very interested in what's going on with Mon Mothma. Again, I am very much of the opinion that is a wedding where her daughter is being sold off to douchebag Skullduggery or whatever the fuck his name is.
Perrin!
No, his daughter is getting married off.
Oh, okay.
It's one's. I remember Perrin. It's like Davos Skolden, I think his name is. Every time I say it, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. I think she's getting married off.
Familiar.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on there. Again, very excited for the Krennic of it all. I'm excited.
I can't believe it's Perrin so confidently. Mainly because I just thought it back to that random fucking Michael tweet where it's like I ship characters with whose names only rhyme.
Yeah, and Perrin and Marin.
Yeah, and then it just became more cursed. So,
but no, I'm excited by that, and also like with the trailer, we did get an announcement that I'm very interested in. I'm very excited. I saw some people going, "Oh, they're trying to just get the show out as quickly as they can."
I'm very interested. Ooh, that's true. Yeah,
sorry, what were you saying?
No, I just like how it's very Clone Wars in that sense. 3-episode arcs. And, unlike pretty much every Star Wars show, besides like the 2-episode premieres that we've gotten for the past couple live action shows,
Yeah.
and animation. I think I haven't finished Bad Batch season 3, guys. It's been a bit.
God damn, that shocks me.
I'm so behind with Star Wars, man. Dude, I've barely started High Republic Phase 3. I haven't even finished Phase 2. It's bad. It's very bad. Philadelphia sports, baby. Why we gotta be good. Relatively. Anyway, what was I saying? Something about so yeah, the Andor arcs. It's very kind of like TCW in that sense. Well, not wholly TCW, because like I want to say, what was it, like season 2 or season 3, where they started to really do like, hey, let's do arcs with our storytelling. So I'm very interested. 3 episodes a night, gonna be hell for my sleep schedule. But
it's gonna be wild, and I'm excited to cover it because I think that like
4 weeks of this, not bad.
For 4 weeks, we're going to be getting like an Andor movie.
Yep.
We're going to be getting like, and I appreciate that. I think it's a very interesting way to drop it. We already knew that they said before that the original plan was for 3 seasons and that they're going to manage to condense it into 2.
I thought it was 5.
Or maybe however many seasons they wanted to do.
I think it was supposed to be 5, and then they condensed it into 2. And now they're just like, fuck it, we're doing 5 years. We're doing 5 years in an arc.
Yeah, but I love that it's going to be that passage of time leading up to the Battle of Scarif. And I think it's very interesting. I think it's, the dropping a show in batches on streaming, I think has been a model I appreciate. X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man both did that.
Oh, the woke show.
Huh? Yeah, woke Spider-Man. Fuck. Where they drop it like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. And I like that a lot. And I also think like when we remember back to Andor season 1, I think the most fulfilling viewing experience was that first release, because it was the first 3 episodes. They didn't just do 2. I believe it was the first 3. So you got that whole arc about leaving Ferrix at one go. And it was a very satisfying viewing experience. And because I was busy and I had shit going on, at one point I let episodes of Andor bank up where I just didn't watch it. We didn't cover it. And I waited so I could just watch 1, 2, 3 in one night. And truthfully, like getting through Andor in arcs is the most satisfying viewing experience. So I'm very excited to see if that maintains and how much, what the pace is for this season. But like, because a lot of Andor season 1 is like, downbeat, walk and talk, downbeat, walk and talk. 3rd episode of this kind of mini arc, everything's freaking the fuck out. Like every 3 episodes felt like a 1, 2, 3 act story.
Yeah.
And waiting week to week, not that again, like that's how television works. You wait each week for a new episode. Like, was not bad, but I do think that the most satisfying, like exciting way to sit down and watch this show was that opening salvo of the first 3 episodes. So I very much hope that it feels the same way, and I'm very excited for it to go that way. Wow, right on cue. Kason, how are you feeling about Andor now that I've crashed out and then said nice things and I'm leveling the fuck out?
I'm excited to see where season 2 goes. I am excited about the multi-episode drops. The arc drops would be pretty cool. I didn't know it was going to be like the years at a time thing, though. That should be pretty neat.
Yeah, how many years at a clip is it, Connor?
I think it's like
2 years between drops is how they're doing it to like.
I think it's a year.
It's a year. Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
4. I think I'm pretty sure. Wait, do we know when? Well, yeah, season 2 would start. So I would guess season 2 would start for BBY then.
I guess so, yeah.
Because then it'd be 3, 2, 1, and then 0, and then I'm pretty sure. Didn't Tony at one point pretty much just say, like, yeah, we all know this, we all know how this is gonna end. Like, he's gonna be getting on the ship to go to the Ring of Kathleen. Like, I'm pretty sure he just gave us the ending scene or whatever at some conference or something.
And again, I just want to say, if that's how Dave Filoni ever ended anything, all of the most annoying people on Star Wars Twitter and Blue Sky would have a fucking aneurysm, but that's fine. That's fine. It's all good because this show's for adults. Anyway, Kason, I'm sorry, continue.
I'm excited to see. I guess I'm excited to see Saw Gerrera, see what he has to do with whatever's going on this season.
Saw is such a fun character, man. Like say
Yeah.
what you will about him, like in the universe and the methods and having conversations about real world revolution and da 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 da. That's fine. I'm here for that type of critical analysis, obviously.
Right.
But like Forrest Whitaker is so goddamn good as this character, and I think it is crazy that like this legendary actor has since Rogue One, every time Disney knocks on his door and says, hey, do you want to play the crazy cyborg terrorist again? It's in a cartoon. You know, the main characters just got done beating up stormtroopers over an apple. Do you want to shoot at civilians? And he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Sure. What do you need?
Absolutely.
He shows up for like what,
had to
5
ask?
minutes? Shows up for what, 5 minutes in Jedi Fallen Order? You know, and it's Forrest goddamn Whitaker. You know, I love it. I just love how dedicated Forrest Whitaker is to this character. His performances are always incredible. You know, like it does not matter if they go, hey, Saw is in this thing. Saw Gerrera, or I'm sorry, Forrest Whitaker can easily do what most actors do. And they're like, if I'm not playing him in live action, let somebody who can do a decent impression of me play them in this video game, in this cartoon. And he doesn't do that. And I love that. I love how dedicated to playing Saw Forrest Whitaker is. Like, just makes me so happy.
Okay, so I found the quote I was talking about. It was from the Empire, I guess one of the Empire magazine interviews. I can't remember which one, but he says, quote, there's no mystery about where we're going. We're going to end up on that walk out to the ship with K2 and go to the Rings of Kathleen and start Rogue One. But why is Cassian going? He's going because there's been some intel. And like you said, Jarod, if Dave Filoni said anything like that with any of his projects, like, oh yeah, we know how Rebels is going to end, like da. Yeah, no, Twitter would, like, fucking social media would be on a firestorm.
I'm just saying, like, if they, and I'm just pulling one out of my ass. If they did, like, because I know a book that does this already exists, but let's say they did Queen's Peril, but it was like a mini series, but the show ends with like a digitally de-aged Terrence Stamp going, I will send 2 Jedi ambassadors to the Trade Federation to negotiate with them. It will be Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. And they did that, like, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, it's action figure. Anyway, but no, Andor season 2 looks incredible. And as I said, 2025 is going to be the year where I go, you know what? People who like this thing annoy the piss out of me, but the story's good. It's great. It's beautiful. And I like it for what it is. Related. We are coming up upon the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
And the 10th anniversary of Force Awakens.
And the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. I do legitimately think we're not going to get anything for TFA 10 years until
probably not.
I think we're going to get a good bit at Celebration, and I think we're going to get a good bit in the back half of the year. But I think they're going to I'm hoping, I'm really hoping against hope that, like, against all odds, that, like, the first half of the year is going to be like Andor, rah, Revenge of the Sith, rah. And then the back half of the year is going to be whoop, 10 years of The Force Awakens, 10 years of Star Wars being back. Like, that was the other thing that I was tripping about with the Kathleen Kennedy kind of retirement false start that we were experiencing was that I was like, I can't believe that like at the end of the year that we'll celebrate 10 years since she truly plugged the franchise back in. And that is not to say that Rebels or any of the publishing or any of the like, you know, like the one video game we got didn't do a lot to like bring the franchise back to its former glory. It did a lot of heavy lifting. But The Force Awakens was a watershed moment in pop culture. I have said more times than I can count
be replicated.
that I would love, and this is not a situation of like, oh, I would love to experience it again for the first time, but I would love to time travel and just go to opening night of Force Awakens again. Even still knowing what will happen, just so I can like watch the room. Like that, like, you know, like Kason was with me opening night of Avengers Endgame. And I came out of it saying, I haven't been in a theater like this since Force Awakens. And these are special moments that are so hard to recreate, that are so hard to follow up on. And I really, really hope that Star Wars and Lucasfilm give The Force Awakens the moment in the sun it deserves, as you are the movie that truly brought the franchise back. This was the beginning of a brand new era. The other things are just as are very important, but like this is something else. And I think it deserves that time in the sun to be celebrated for it. But in the first half of the year, and again, I will admit, if they give more time to the movie that's been out longer, I get it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's kind of insane that I'll see Revenge of the Sith twice in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was 8 years old when I saw it. The only thing I remember, and not even really remember, like when I say remember, I mean barely remember. I remember two things. A, fucking crying my eyes out the Order 66 sequence, because I was very like black and white in terms of Star Wars growing up as a kid. I think as most of us were, like, Jedi good guys, not Jedi bad guys. Oh, they got turned on by their own guys. Oh, those guys are the bad guys now. The Jedi are still the good guys. They're getting fucking eradicated. So yeah, I was very devastated. I remember that, and I remember going to a Burger King right by the movie theater and getting those fucking like
Sith Burger King toys. Yes, with the fucking watches.
Yeah, I didn't get the watches. I remember those little like
I had the
wind up toys, I guess, that you can get.
Yep.
Where it's like you wind it up, you let it go, and they like shoot forward. I got one. I got an X-Wing one and something else. And it was just kind of surreal seeing like an X-Wing, because it was like I was such in a big like prequels mode at that time that like, oh, this is a fighter from like the future of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's in Revenge of the Sith.
Were the Burger King toys the ones that had the big heads in him? Like, was there a Mace Windu one in his like fighter with his?
I believe McDonald's did that when they did the Starfighters, so that was for Clone Wars. But you know, Burger King, they did have like big like oblong heads. Like he said, like some of them were like wind up toys. My Nana still has the Yoda toy because she likes Yoda. Rare Nana L. That like it does like the little wind up and then it kind of hops around on the table. Which is how I imagine how he went through the temple as he was destroying thousands of years of Jedi outreach. But the other ones I liked was that like some of them were like little magic 8 balls.
I don't know if I remember those.
I had the Obi-Wan and I had the Mace Windu, like little magic 8 balls in there. And you'd like shake them up and then you'd look at the thing. But they were like a lot of Star Wars platitudes where it's like you're like shake it up, flip it upside down and be like, I have a bad feeling about this shit. Like it was great. But yeah, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith returns to theaters. This is the official article from StarWars.com. Anakin Skywalker is about to bring peace, freedom, justice, and security to his new empire on the big screen. To celebrate the 20th anniversary of the premiere of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, It will be re-released in theaters on April 25th, 2025, running in select U.S. theaters and international territories for 1 week only. Screenings will be available in several formats, including for the first time 4DX. From the exhilarating battles over the planet of Coruscant to the fiery volcanic high grounds of Mustafar. So true bestie means high ground. Sorry. Relive this pivotal chapter in the Kason in the Skywalker saga. The 4DX feature features high-tech motion chairs that sync with over 21 effects, all designed to complement the narrative of the film. Renowned graphic artist Matt Ferguson has created new poster art for the re-release event. Ferguson is also the gentleman who has done the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Phantom Menace re-release posters.
That Empire Strikes Back one goes
hard.
so fucking hard.
Posters are hard.
Like, I'm biased because, like, obviously we all really like Empire, but, like, I don't know what it is, man. The Empire, like, almost every Empire poster I've seen just goes so goddamn hard.
My favorite was the Phantom Menace one, I think, bar none. And again, no disrespect to Matt Ferguson. He is not the only person who has committed this frustrating thing to me. The Return of the Jedi one is the weakest one, and it's because he did the thing that everybody has done for the last 10 years, where they take that one, like, in-game character model picture of Luke from Battlefront 2015 and just slap it on there. Like, Luke and Vader, almost every picture of them is just them standing there with their arms at their side with their lightsaber out. And it's because it's the character model from Battlefront 2015. Like, hell, Kason, if you look at the trilogies and Roosevelt, that is the silhouette of Vader on the shirt.
Oh, I see it. I'm looking at the Return of the Jedi poster right now. Yeah, no, that I was like, why is I remember thinking, I'm like, why does that pose look so familiar?
Because he's just standing there because it's a character model.
Because he's just standing there menacingly.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I was like, why
like I said, no hate to Mike Ferguson. His work is incredible. The Phantom Menace posters might be one of my favorite Star Wars posters of all time now.
I might get this.
And he is
poster.
far from
You're talking about Luke with his check swing, right?
What?
Luke in the middle of his check swing?
No, it's literally just him standing there with his arms at his side.
I might get this Empire poster, man. I really like this poster is so
and the Revenge of the Sith one is incredible as well. But yeah, like I said, I'm very, very, very excited to see what comes from the 25th anniversary or the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. It's always an exciting time to get to celebrate the anniversary of a Star Wars project. Again, my thing with this is I think that this movie has become frustratingly overrated because some of the most annoying fans in the space glom onto it like it is God's gift to Star Wars. But I am excited to put that aside and really enjoy this film for the first time in a long time in a way that I only ever did when I was a kid. I know, similar to what you were saying, Connor, I know that I saw Attack of the Clones in theaters. I don't remember it. I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith. I remember, and we'll probably talk about this because we will also be doing a 20th anniversary discussion like we did for Phantom Menace last year. I remember vividly my uncle and my dad, because my uncle went opening night.
Did we get an Attack of the Clones 20th?
We did not. They're probably going to wait for 25th.
Boo.
I know. You want your Attack of the Grounds love. I love you. But
I know.
There you go. But I remember because my uncle went on the Thursday night at midnight showing. And I remember my parents all kind of being like, hey, we're hearing this movie's kind of fucking intense. We don't want to tell you can't see what is supposed to be the last Star Wars movie in the theater. But we're going to let your Uncle Bill take a look at this first. And Bill sees it. And I don't even know how exactly the conversation went. From what I understand, my uncle was like, "Hey, like, he kills Count Dooku in cold blood, cuts his fucking head off. The stuff in the temple, and then Anakin is lit on fucking fire." And I actually do want to talk to my dad and get like what do you remember what he told you? Like made this like the PG-13 super intense Star Wars movie. Like I want to know
Get a direct quote. That would be incredible.
if I can get a direct quote. I will I'll bring my fucking dad on the podcast.
Please, we need Ethan.
That's a wild episode. For one night only. But I remember before we went, my uncle and my dad sat me down. They were like, "Listen, this movie goes to a really dark, really intense place." And I don't remember if they told me. I know they didn't tell me what happened. I know they didn't tell me like Anakin is nearly burned to death and that's how he becomes Darth Vader and he murders children and like, Count Dooku is executed, this isn't
He
just like,
also chokes his wife.
Also Padme, like I don't think they told me that happened. Where they were like, goes to a really, because this goes to, they're like, this, Bill was like, this movie is scary. I don't even remember. Maybe my dad also saw it before me. I don't remember. But I just remember like that moment of like, are you sure you're up to this? And I was like, it's Star Wars. I have to see it. The little kindergarten Jarod. I was like, no, I have to be there. This is it. It's over after this. Ha 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 ha. And I remember seeing it that opening weekend, and I remember going, oh shit, he murdered Count Dooku. I remember being like, oh my God, he just killed those kids. Oh my God, he just choked Padme. And I remember just like watching Anakin's immolation. And just kind of under my breath going, whoa. And the whole time my uncle and my dad are like, are you doing okay? Are you doing okay? It's okay if we have to leave. It's okay if we have to leave. It's okay if you can't take it. I was like, no, like it's okay. I got it. Like this is a lot, but wow, but I got it. So I'm really excited to see this in theaters again. And I think there's a beautiful poetry to it that George would appreciate. That the year of the 20th anniversary of what was supposed to be the end, sharing the 10th anniversary of the new next beginning. I think that's beautiful. And I really do hope that Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens both get their time in the sun and really get the time to be celebrated the way they deserve. But yeah, so expect us to cover 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. I'm excited to talk about it. That'll probably be happening.
It's insane.
That might be our May the 4th episode this year, but we'll see.
Oh, there we go. What perfect timing also, though, by not only Star Wars having, like, inviting Hayden Christensen back, but Hayden Christensen making the comeback that he's been making over the last couple years with Ahsoka and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, being on the con circuit, because especially with this, like, the 20th anniversary is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Man's gonna be busier than he ever has been.
Absolutely, man. Like and he deserves his flowers for it. I had a moment with my little sister a few weeks ago. We were visiting my family. Revenge of the Sith was on like TNT or whatever. And I put it on because there was nothing else on. We were waiting for the SNL 50th to start. And I had a moment where I was like, okay, like kids can't read anymore. So I'm gonna put on my English teacher hat during like Obi-Wan and Anakin's goodbye. And Kira, she was funny because at first she did the whole, because I was talking about, I was like, you really pay attention, like the lighting here. I was like, there's so much beautiful visual storytelling. I was like, Obi-Wan, as he is saying goodbye to Anakin, he's walking away into the light as Anakin is shrouded in shadow. That represents the fact that his soul is compromised, that he is about to be lost. at least to Obi-Wan, forever. This is the last time they will speak to each other, where he still goes by the name Anakin Skywalker. And isn't that tragic? And isn't the way this is framed so beautiful? And at first, Kira did like the little like, oh yeah, like like if you look at the way the cloud is shaped, you can see. And I was like, okay, don't be an asshole. I was like, it is that deep, and your English teachers will agree with me. And then we were watching a little bit more. She's like, and she was like picking up on like little like visual like, oh, like I see what this kind of represents. And I was like, there you go, kid. You're inheriting this show when I'm gone, so you better understand this shit. No, much like Kathleen Kennedy, I will die on the mic. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Very exciting year for Star Wars, and I can't wait to see how all of this shapes up. Any final thoughts on anything we discussed, gentlemen?
It's just going to be crazy thinking about 20 years of Revenge of the Sith and just how, like, just in a general sense, the merchandise and marketing for that movie alone, just not only as the movie itself, but as sort of the culmination of the prequels. Dude, what a time.
Dude, I'm not even a figure collector. And Conor, you saw me talking about this. Like those figures that they already announced that are going to be like the Black Series molds, but with the old Revenge of the Sith packaging. Like, I need that Count Dooku one. I told Taylor, I was like, I need at least 2 Count Dookus. I need one to take out and display him, doing like Form 2 bullshit. And I need one to just put a nail in the wall and hang it on.
Yeah.
Because I need Dooku. You know what would be wild? You know what would be fucking so cool? Conor, I'm about to say the most us shit ever. What if they remaster the game?
Say that again, Jarod.
What if they remaster the game?
That would be insane.
Just
playing that game
bricked.
with that fluid of a combat system of a lightsaber duel on the PS on current gen and next gen console controllers. Oh, that would be incredible.
Like that's the kind of stuff they can do, man. Like, it's right there. It's right fucking there.
Revenge of the Sith PS5, Revenge of the Sith remastered for Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary edition remastered. I could see it now. They add like a bunch of fucking content that they didn't add in the original game or whatever, which I don't know if there was any content they cut from the game, but like, yeah, that would be sick.
I mean, like that Revenge of the Sith game, like it exists as its own, and we'll probably talk about this when we do the episode, so I'll keep this brief. Like it's one of the few like movie tie-in games that are truly great.
Did it release before the movie too?
Yep, just like the novel.
That's fucking
the novel and the movie were out weeks, or the novel and the game were out weeks before the movie. But it's like, it's kind of in a league of its own with like the Spider-Man 2 game as like these movie tie-in video games that are just absolutely, great works.
I would go with Return of the King as another one.
Spider-Man.
I never played it.
Dude, the Lord of the Rings Return of the King video game, man, one of the best games I've ever played. It's a very simple hack and slash game, but holy fuck, is it fun!
And I think it would be a great move to bring that game back. Like I'm always clamoring for a Star Wars fighting game, and like and it's one of those things that has always held a special place in my heart. Like for like the combat and all of that stuff, but also like here's a fun little did you know is that there is an extended cut of one of the scenes from the movie that plays as a cutscene. Is in the Count Dooku fight. There's like because like in the movie, Sith Lords are speciality. You won't get away this time, Dooku. And in the movie, like they cut to Dooku igniting his lightsaber, and then they start fighting. In the game, Dooku has a line, and it's like little shit like that I love. Where You know, like
oh yeah, that's right.
you know, where like in the game, Dooku goes, just because there are two of you, you can't be you certainly can't think you can win. Shit like that. Like I just I am excited for this. But anyway, I think that's gonna be all for this episode. If you guys have not seen them already, I sat down with Brendan Marr of Patreon They Were Not to talk about Skeleton Crew, a little bit of a delayed review. We had a wonderful conversation there. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man review with Eli from Star Wars in a Galaxy is also out. And coming out a few days after this will be my discussion with Trey Mitchell, formerly of Skywalking Through the League and Mile High Cinema, to talk about the first couple episodes of Daredevil Born Again, which once we are done recording, I'm going to sit down and watch. So stay tuned for all of that. Ionized Bastards Season 3 is 3 episodes in. It has been so much fun getting back to this show. One last ride with these characters. Like I said, shit got real scary. In this 3rd episode, the wheels fell the fuck off. And we are very much in the thick of what is going to shape up to be a thrilling final confrontation with Salvage. And then Epic Confrontations has its very exciting Coaxium run coming out in the next few days here. A thrilling 4v4 teams match that I was lucky enough to participate in. Really good. It's going to be a really good match. This is a match format that I really hope Eli does again. It was a lot of fun. It was very inventive. I'm excited to see what kind of team compositions can come from this down the road. I was very, very excited by it. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, the reviews I mentioned here at the Nerd Academy podcast, Ionized Bastards on all remaining systems, and the Epic Confrontation match on Star Wars in a Galaxy. And as I said earlier, a very special episode of Pro and Noob is coming out on the Midge692 channel on Monday. This coming Monday. We are back talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion for one more time. As friend of the show and bitter rival of mine, Scotty Jarod, decided over the last few months he was going to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I told Mitch we need to talk to Scotty about it. So stay tuned to the Mitch692 YouTube channel for Evangelion is Bomb Bad on Monday. Be there. Very excited. Connor, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
Blue Sky at Depa Banana. Instagram, which I barely use, at ConmanJFO. If you want to add me on Discord, it's ConmanJFO, but with an X in front of the C, so it's XConmanJFO. So if you want to add me on Discord, feel free to. Just tell me who you are, because otherwise I'm not going to accept you.
Fair.
It's just, I'm trying to call back my social media, so just too much of it is sucked over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that.
Yeah. You can find me at For the Republic Podcast. I haven't been on in a fucking while. Hoping to make my return some point soon. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, at For the Repub Pod. Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Confrontations. You can find us on YouTube at the Star Wars in a Galaxy podcast YouTube channel, and In a Galaxy Trivia on Twitter. I can't remember which other sites we're on. I want to say there's other Blue Sky. Okay.
Yeah, because Eli's fully done the Blue Sky pivot, and I'm one of the few Twitter holdouts who are like occasionally liking and quote tweeting things.
I'm doing the same, but with just Philly sports.
Naturally.
But yeah, Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Confrontations. I just, I co-host and co-write questions. I wasn't on the aforementioned match that Jarod talked about, but I will be back in some format someday.
And so will I.
Jason, what did you say?
I may make an appearance as well. No, I said I have not switched over to Blue Sky yet. I am still on Twitter.
I'm slowly trying to just getting to like just I'm not going to delete Twitter because there is that small Delulu part of me. I'm going to kill myself after saying that. Small delusional part of me that's like, maybe Twitter gets back to its roots. Maybe.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I'm like, maybe.
But like also deleting Twitter would just delete pretty much everything I've cultivated there, and like I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So
part
deactivation,
of me
baby.
is,
But anyway, Kason, where?
good job. Instagram, everything, whatever. If I'm on it as at Cravereezy. Here, I think, or over here, one of the two. Anyway, oh, I was gonna say I'm kind of also delusionally as well. I'm kind of hoping that they just go way too hard in the paint here and end up losing it all, and Elon Musk has to sell Twitter again.
It would be
That's
nice,
my
but
hope. But
or he just I'm not gonna say it.
we'll see. America decided Nazis were cool again, I guess.
Hey, what happens. He jumps around a lot.
It's also pretty cool. Killing Nazis. That's all I'll say.
This episode's never going to see the light of day now. Thank you, Connor. I agree, but
We'll
damn.
just cut it off a minute and 15 seconds ago. Forget I said anything.
What'd I say? We'll just cut it.
I don't remember. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky, Dark Jedi 2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, and wherever you get podcasts. Sure to subscribe to our Patreon. Thank you to Ilonix Jonsk, aka Paco, and Ray Clausen, our $10 patrons. And the final episode of Versus Series Season 5 will be coming out here soon. Spencer has had a lot of scheduling issues as he is getting his new house situated. So thank you for your patience. But that is all we have for you guys. Like I said, stay tuned for more for Daredevil conversations coming in the next couple weeks. And we will be keeping our ear to the ground for upcoming Star Wars news. And obviously, whether or not I make it to Japan, we will be covering Star Wars Celebration. Not live, never doing that again. Those who know. Conor, unfortunately, had a front row seat riding shotgun with me as I had a mild psychotic break watching the Star Wars Celebration live stream.
It was
a little breaky for me.
It was
a
not
little breaky for
fun.
me. And then we're going to come back and start the show over. That's the one nice thing about me losing my voice is my Alex Jones gets like 10 times better.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you all next time, and may the force be with you always. Pit the button. Fuck!
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar.